Two people give the same answer in a meeting. One explains it for almost a minute. The other waits half a second and says 4 words. Yes, I can do it. The first person gave more information, more warmth, more proof. The second gave almost no explanation. But the room trusts the second person more, not because they were louder, because the first answer made everyone work too hard to find the signal. And once you see that, you understand why quiet people are trusted in rooms where louder people are only noticed. Most people think quiet people are trusted because they seem mysterious, or because they seem calm, or because they don't give too much away. But that is only the surface. Because you have seen loud people who were confident and still hard to trust. You have seen warm people explain everything and somehow make the room less certain. And you have seen quiet people say one sentence without performing, without pushing, without proving, and everyone treats it like it carries more weight. That is not magic. It is not mystery. It is not because quiet people are automatically wiser. The real reason is deeper. People trust the person whose signal is easiest to read, and quiet people often create less noise around what they mean. They do not keep editing the message while they are saying it. They do not wrap every sentence in apology. They do not turn a simple answer into a negotiation with the room. They are not constantly checking if everyone still approves of the sentence. They say the thing. Then they let the thing stand. And that matters more than most people realize. Because trust does not only come from what you say, it comes from whether people believe your words will stay the same when pressure enters the room. Because people are not only listening to your words, they are tracking your stability. They are asking small questions they may never say out loud. Will this person mean the same thing tomorrow? Will they change their answer if someone pushes back? Are they speaking from choice or from pressure? Are they telling me what is true or trying to manage how I see them? And this is where trust becomes a quiet calculation, not a conscious one, not something people sit and analyze, but something the room feels. A steady person makes the room relax. An unstable signal makes the room keep checking. Every extra correction, every nervous apology, every sentence that changes shape while you are saying it gives people one more thing to measure. And that is why quiet people can feel more trustworthy. They give the room fewer moving parts, fewer contradictions, fewer signals to decode. Their words arrive with less static around them. So the room does not have to wonder where the real answer is hiding. That is why two people can say almost the same thing and create completely different levels of trust. One person says yes like they are trying to survive the room. The other says yes like the answer already existed before anyone asked. And the room can feel the difference. This does not mean quiet people are always trusted. Quiet can also feel hidden, passive, or cold. The quiet that builds trust is different. It is present. It is clear. It stays consistent when pressure enters the room. People do not trust silence. They trust predictability. A quiet person becomes powerful when their words, actions, timing, and emotional state all point in the same direction. No extra performance, no sudden over-explaining, no nervous reshaping, just one clean signal. Watch how this works at work. A manager asks, "Can you finish this by Friday?" One person says, "Yeah, I think so. It depends on how the other thing goes, but I should be able to. I can try. I'll do my best." If nothing unexpected happens, nothing in that answer is wrong. But it creates work. Now the manager has to decode it. Is that a yes? Is that a warning? Is that insecurity? Is that a future excuse? Then another person says, "Yes, Friday afternoon." That answer is not warmer. It is not longer. It may not even be more impressive, but it is easier to trust because the signal is cleaner. There is less to sort through, less emotional noise, less editing. The room does not have to rescue the meaning from the sentence, and people trust what they do not have to rescue. This is why over-explaining can quietly damage your authority, not because your reasons are bad, but because too many reasons can make your position look unstable. A clean answer says, "This is where I stand." A noisy answer says, "I am still negotiating with myself while you are watching." And when people see you negotiating with yourself, they feel invited to negotiate with you too. That is why a quiet person's words often carry more weight, not because they are rare in some dramatic way, but because they are not constantly diluted. If every small pressure makes you add 5 more sentences, your words begin to lose shape. Your yes becomes a cloud. Your no becomes a discussion. Your boundary becomes a draft. And people do not build trust around drafts. They build trust around patterns. This is the hidden test happening in almost every social room. People are not only asking, "Do I like this person?" They are asking, "Can I predict this person under pressure?" That is why the quiet coworker gets trusted with responsibility. The quiet friend becomes the one people confide in. The quiet relative ends an argument with one sentence, not because they dominate the room, because their pattern has become easy to believe. Now compare that with someone who reacts to every shift. Someone laughs when they are uncomfortable, apologizes when nothing is wrong, explains before anyone questions them, changes tone, depending on who is watching, adds details to avoid judgment, and fills every pause because silence feels dangerous. That person may be kind, they may be smart, they may even be more capable than the quiet person, but the room has to keep recalculating them. And what people have to keep recalculating? They trust more slowly. This is why calmness is often mistaken for confidence. Sometimes it is just low noise. Their face, posture, timing, and words are not fighting each other. They create fewer contradictions. And fewer contradictions create more trust. This is also why restraint can be so convincing. When someone could speak but does not rush to speak, the room reads that as choice. When someone could defend themselves but does not scramble, the room reads that as stability, not control over others, control over themselves. But here is the part people misunderstand. The point is not to become the person who says nothing. The point is to stop adding noise to what is already clear. If your answer is yes, say yes. If your answer is no, say no. If you need time, say, "I'll think about it and get back to you." If you disagree, say, "I see it differently." Then stop. Not forever, not as a tactic. Just long enough for your words to keep their shape. Because the moment you rush to soften every sentence, you teach the room that your position is not finished yet. And unfinished positions attract pressure. People press on what moves. They question what keeps changing. They interrupt what feels open. But when your words land cleanly, there is less for the room to grab. Not because you are harsh, because you are complete. This is the practical shift. Before you speak, notice the first version of your answer. Then remove the part that is only there to manage how they feel about you. Remove the apology that does not belong. Remove the nervous explanation. Remove the proof that nobody asked for. Remove the extra ending you add because silence feels too exposed. Then say the clean version. "I can do Friday, not this week. I need more time. That doesn't work for me." Simple does not mean weak. Simple means there is less signal loss. And this is why quiet people often seem more trustworthy. They are not asking the room to sort through anxiety before reaching meaning. They make the meaning easier to find. Of course, context matters. Quiet can be misread. Power, status, history, and culture all shape how quiet is interpreted. So this is not a rule about never speaking. It is a rule about reducing unnecessary noise. Because quiet without clarity becomes confusing. Quiet without warmth becomes cold. Quiet without consistency becomes suspicious. But quiet with presence becomes trustworthy. The person who says little but follows through becomes easy to believe. The person who pauses but answers clearly becomes easy to rely on. The person who does not react to every pressure point becomes easy to respect. That is the kind of quiet people trust, not the quiet of fear, not the quiet of punishment, not the quiet of hiding, the quiet of someone who does not need to keep proving the signal because the signal is already clean. Go back to the meeting. Same question, same room, same answer. One person gives the room a paragraph to decode, the other gives the room a pattern it already trusts. And that is why the second person does not have to say more. Their words are not doing the trust building alone. Their consistency is. You do not need to become mysterious. You do not need to become cold. You do not need to hold back everything you think. You need to become easier to read under pressure. Say less than your fear wants you to say. Mean what you say. Let the pause stay. Then follow through. Because people do not trust the person who says the most. They trust the person whose signal stays clean when the room gets loud. That is Law 58, the rule no one taught you.